Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this video on the Sagittarius full moon happening on May 23rd. The energies surrounding this full moon are very expansive, very exciting. It's a feel-good energy. And I would say this one is for the dreamers, the wild souls, and the visionaries. It's definitely inviting us to shake things up in our life in a really good way by looking at where we are stuck in a routine that doesn't bring us joy, doesn't bring us pleasure, and ultimately doesn't feel aligned with our destiny and what we are here to experience in the world. So we're going to dive in, take a deeper look at all these energies at play surrounding the full moon. And I just want to take a moment to welcome you here. My name is Kara. I'm a cosmic channel. And when I share these videos, I'm definitely deep diving into the astrology, and I'm sharing channel guidance from the Akashic records as well, especially from the lens of how we can work with this energy in the highest timeline possible for what you are manifesting and creating in your own life at this time, but also for the vision you hold for the planet. So let's dive right in, beginning with a little bit of background. So in astrology, something I've learned from one of my all-time favorite astrologers who I have studied with is Raquel Spring, and she talks about cycles within cycles. So we never want to look at anything in isolation in astrology. That's often where confusion can come in because we're just not seeing the bigger picture, the full picture. And so far, 2024 has been a very active year. We've had a lot of things shifting and changing with an incredibly dynamic eclipse season. And with this eclipse happening in Aries and Libra, it's definitely been the focus on the new version of you that is emerging. And eclipses are known for bringing incredible change in our life, removing what is no longer aligned, awakening us to what is truly possible. And I feel like a lot of us are still calibrating to that. We're still calibrating to where we are now headed and the path we are now on. And that is totally normal. When things rapidly change in our world, it can take a moment to recalibrate to the new energy and to really stay focused on where we now desire to go. And just days before this full moon on the 18th of May, we had a really beautiful alignment with Jupiter and the Sun, known as a Cassini. And basically, this just means that Jupiter and the Sun were conjunct, and the energy of Jupiter was amplified. It is known as a day of miracles. It is a beautiful energy of abundance and of joy, and an invitation to really look at expanding your capacity for joy in your life. So we all have these energetic set points for how good we allow things to get before our nervous system starts to feel unsafe. And what this can lead to is self-sabotage. And sometimes this can simply be we're feeling really good, and then a fearful thought comes in, or we start to worry, or it could literally be we sabotage through our actions. So often this is happening on a subconscious level, but we all have these baselines for how good we think life gets to be for us, how good we allow ourselves to feel. And this energy, especially as it leads into this full moon, which is ruled by Jupiter, there's certainly an invitation here to open up to more joy, to open up to more abundance, and to notice where you're capping that off, allowing things to only get so good before you freak out. And this is where you want to relax your nervous system into knowing it's safe to be okay. It's safe for life to be good for you. With that being said, let us take a deeper look at the specific energies with this full moon. So we have the full moon happening here at 2 degrees of Sagittarius, opposite the sun at 2 degrees of Gemini. And that's what makes it a full moon, is the opposition between the moon and the sun. And in astrology, the moon really governs our inner world. So your personal moon sign, your natal moon, can say a lot about how you respond to new environments and situations and what is needed for you to find that sense of comfort. It speaks a lot to your intuition. And when we have a full moon, things are amplified. And this is why we tend to feel things more strongly. Some people may notice their sleep is affected, where they tend to wake up a little bit more, have trouble falling asleep, like everything feels heightened. This can also be why we may experience more anxiety or worry around a full moon. If that's what's been happening under the surface, the full moon can really bring that to light. Now, this is also why it's a beautiful time for celebration as well. Really good opportunity to look at what you are proud of accomplishing, what is working really well, because what we focus on, we see more of in our world. And we want to train our brain to focus on the things that are pleasing, the things that we would like to see amplified in our reality. So that's the energy of every full moon, is that amplification of what's happening beneath the surface. And when we're working with the Sagittarius Gemini axes, there is certainly a playfulness to this energy. This really is an opportunity to look at your day-to-day routine and where that desire for comfort or structure has maybe become a little too boring, and it's time to shake things up. You're definitely going to feel that call for more adventure and exploration with these energies. And what that means for me, they may be very different than what that means for you, right? And for some people, this energy may be, all right, it's time for me to plan my trip to Egypt. For other people, it could simply be, I'm going to start waking up an hour early every morning and going out for a walk before I begin my day. But there's certainly a call here to change things up, mix things up, especially if they have become very stagnant or even a feeling of boredom is setting in. Now, this is also the axis in astrology, the Gemini Sagittarius axis, that is associated with knowledge and learning and the exploration of new ideas. So wherever this is happening in your chart, if you look for that 2 degrees of Gemini and 2 degree of Sagittarius and the house placement that is in, it's definitely where you are called to open up to new possibilities. And this cosmic energy is so good at awakening us to what is really possible in our world. We live in a world of infinite possibility and pure potential. And what brings things from just a possibility to a probability to a manifested reality is where we give our focus, where we focus our thoughts, where we focus our actions, the frequency in which we are vibrating at day to day, based on our thoughts, based on our actions, and just what is active in our auric field will determine what we experience. And even the ideas that we are a match to, as we shift our energy, we become a match to new possibilities and ideas that have been there all along, but maybe we didn't see it. We couldn't find it until we were able to raise our vibration. So let's take a closer look here specifically at this Sagittarius energy, since it is the focus of this full moon. Sagittarius is a very big, expansive energy. It really is about dreaming big, following the vision that's been placed in your heart. And in the shadow aspect of it, it's always good to be aware of how the shadow can manifest as well. It can really be this energy of constantly seeking, but never allowing yourself to arrive. So this idea that like the grass is always greener on the other side. So we're constantly exploring, adventuring, but from this space of like needing more, thinking that our happiness or fulfillment is outside of us. So we just want to be aware of where we may be falling into that trap of thinking our happiness is in our next income level, or our happiness is in our next client, or our happiness is found in our next trip. We get to have those things that we desire, but we don't want to think that our joy and happiness is dependent on that. So we want to be aware of that when we are playing in the Sagittarius energy. Now, the main aspect of this full moon is a sextile with Pluto. So we have Pluto over here in Aquarius, which has been a huge shift this year. And Pluto is the energy of soul level transformation, of death, rebirth, regeneration. And we are still calibrating to this energy of Pluto and Aquarius, which has opened up a new 20-year cycle. And we're already seeing the changes that are following this cosmic shift of power to the people really recognizing more and more that how they show up matters. Like they have a role in determining collective consciousness and what happens on this planet, and owning that in a new way. Because if we're not aware of our power and our ability to create change, it's not going to be as effective in the world. So this is about awakening to our personal power, not being a victim, but looking at how we can effect change in the world. What is our part in that? So this sextile at the time of the full moon, this is a harmonious flow of energy in astrology, and this really opens us up to how we can create positive change on this planet, what our role is. And in many of the people that I draw to me, they're associated with being a light worker or being a star seed, having a big vision for what they know is possible to walk out on this planet. And this really is a call to be bold enough to do it. There's a boldness with Sagittarius, a mutable fire sign, like it can't be contained. It's about going for it, really trusting your heart. Now, this aspect can also speak to how you are changing and transforming and what needs to be released for you to fully move into your vision. We can't outperform our mindset or our core identity. So, this aspect really speaks to what beliefs need to be altered or shifted in order for us to walk out the timeline that we're destined for, that we envision. And very tangible ways, this could be a new level of income you're moving into in your business. Is your core belief system, your mindset of who you are and what you're capable of achieving in alignment with that vision? And if not, we are invited to make those shifts and changes. And what I'm sensing here is like those shifts and changes are already well underway. And that's what I mean by the calibration. You're calibrating to this new version of you that may be setting stronger boundaries, that is no longer shrinking your energy or hiding or playing small. Like you're here to play full out. And the Sagittarius full moon is certainly about playing full out, owning your boldness and your bigness and going for it, and surrounding yourself with people who get that vision. When you're around people who also have really big goals, when you share what you're achieving, they're going to cheer you on because they think the same way. They totally get it. They're on board. And there's something very powerful about that. I feel that maybe another theme that is emerging in this energy, who you are associating with. And I often tell my clients, be intentional about who you share your ideas and your dreams with, because not everybody is going to get it. We're all filtering things through a unique lens. And you want to share these ideas with people that can understand, maybe challenge you in like a good way, but they totally get it. They see that potential and they see that possibility as well. Not people who are going to imprint their doubts and their fears into you, which is really just a projection of their belief system, and it has nothing to do with you. So some other energies that are at play here, we have a stellium happening in Taurus. So we have Mercury there, Uranus there, and Jupiter there. Now, Jupiter is getting ready just days after this full moon to move into Gemini. And that is another beautiful portal that is opening up. It's going to be in Gemini for the next year. And that is going to be a shift as well into more joy for a lot of us, more joy, new ideas. There's going to be an abundance of ideas coming in. And I know, because I've worked with so many clients who don't have a shortage of ideas. If anything, they feel like they have too many ideas. And then we can get into a space of almost overwhelm with that, all these ideas, but what one do we focus on? So there is an element of focus that we want to have with this full moon. And as we move throughout May and into June, really being focused on what is that vision, what is a priority in our life at this time, And then what do we need to focus on day to day in order to bring this vision to life? So definitely focus is going to come into play, but this energy is very exciting. Now, Jupiter is also the ruler of this full moon. And while it is still here in Taurus and it is next to Venus as well, we have Jupiter and Venus conjunct. This is definitely a heart opener and an invitation to trust the wisdom in your heart. Your heart really does hold so much wisdom that transcends logic. And learning to trust where your heart is guiding you is ultimately what's going to lead you to a very fulfilling life. So, this is an opportunity to tune into your heart. What message does it have for you if you're struggling with what decision to make, where to go next? Block out the noise from the external and just come back home to you. Take more time in silence, even like 10 minutes a day without stimulation, just breathing into your heart and trusting that the answers you seek are there. They're available to you. Every question has an answer, every problem has a solution. The key is tuning into the vibration of the solution and the answer. So this is definitely another feel-good energy as well that can really invite you to look at what does light you up, what does bring you joy, what does fuel you. And the other side of that, of course, could be looking at patching up those energy leaks, areas you're giving your focus or energy to that are draining you. What can you do to either cut cords with those situations or people, or shift your mindset and perception around it? The other thing I want to mention here is this Aries stellium. So we have Mars, the North Node, and Chiron in Aries. And, this Aries energy is still very much in focus this year with the North Node there, with the eclipses happening here. This really has to do with the self, the courage to be yourself. Chiron there traveling so closely next to the North Node, like throughout 2024 so far, we've had them in very close proximity. It's an awareness of where those insecurities may be, where we are not fully loving ourselves, being compassionate with ourselves, embracing ourselves and our gifts and what we need in order to thrive, fully owning our desires. And Mars in its home sign of Aries here really gives us that boost of drive and ambition to go for what you want, to really believe in yourself and your power to bring those desires you have to life, to create the life you desire, especially, this fuel of the Sagittarius full moon, which is a fire energy, Mars in its home sign. This is a very fiery full moon. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of energy here, there's a lot of passion here. So we want to be aware of how we are using that energy, how we are directing that energy. And Mercury in the sign of Taurus, which is a very grounded, earthy sign, can help us with that element of, okay, let me get focused on what is my vision at this time? What am I moving toward? If we're just moving through life without focus and clarity, we're going to get a mixture of experiences, right? We are that powerful and there's no right or wrong. It's just simply if we're not clear on what we want, how could we possibly create it? We're going to have mixed results and mixed energy. But when we learn how to become more focused on what it is we do want to experience and call in and create, becomes a lot easier to create it. It becomes a lot easier to know what is a priority and what isn't. So there's definitely an energy happening around that, getting clear on what your priorities are and then creating a life that is a reflection of that. So that is our Sagittarius full moon. I would love to hear from you below if you would like to share what you are manifesting in this beautiful, big energy of Sagittarius. I would also love to invite you to join the waitlist for my Lightworkers Rise Academy. I'm going to be walking a new group of students through this space, spiritual entrepreneurs, starseeds, lightworkers that are ready to get their work out into the world in a bigger way and receive abundantly for it. The best place to begin is the waitlist if you are curious about that space. With that, you also get an entire year in my Divine Creators Inner Circle, where you really become a master at conscious creation in your life by working alongside your unique soul blueprint, which you'll explore through astrology and the Akashic records. So I will post all those links for you below. I am sending so much love and joy your way this Sagittarius full moon, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.